sitting high on them inches. I'm in the nosebleeds. I'm on a paper chase until my toes bleed.
What is going on, everybody? This is Benny Thurman III with the Sports Mark Analysts again. I'm joined here with Joe Anderson. Joe and Steve, what's going on?
What's going on?
We are here as three of the representatives of the New York Giants Nation to give you our review on the 2020 draft that the New York Giants just did. We had how many picks? 10? 9? Something.
10?
All I know is we went ham this year, and it's about time we actually gave our thoughts and opinions on it. So, let's just cut right to the chase. Round 1, pick 4, got the big boy. Andrew Thomas, the left tackle of the future, and hopefully the present as well, because I need him starting. Joe, what you think of it?
I'm happy. Like I'm completely fine. Like we did on the live stream. And we've been saying for the longest time. Like I wanted Isaiah Simmons personally, and then I wanted to go interior in the second round. But yeah, I have no problem with this pick. I put him on the left side and move Solder and have Solder and Fleming and whoever else wants to try to take a right tackle spot, have them go on the right side and fight at it out. But I mean, you're talking about the only guy. I think Becton played a little left tackle, but worse than Will is right side. So you're talking Andrew Thomas is the left, to me, the best left tackle in the draft, the only pure left tackle in the draft. He played in the SEC for 4 years, started, and I think he gave up 3 sacks in 4 years, something like that, or 4 years, or 4 sacks in 4 years. And you got to talk about the SEC, which is the best conference in college football. Since I know you love the SEC, but and for you to go against the best competition and the best conference in college football, and be one of the best, it states to me that you'll be fine. So as long as the guy puts on weight and continues to work on his craft, I think he'll be the starting left tackle come week 1.
Copy that. Steve, what's your thoughts, man?
So at first, as you guys know, I wasn't too happy, and it wasn't because of his talent. It was because, number one, I did want Isaiah Simmons, and number two, when you took a look at the left tackles that were there, or actually the tackle, Andrew Thomas, then there was Wirfs, and then I'm drawing a blank on the guy from Alabama. I keep forgetting his name. Right, Wills. So those three I thought were all about the same in talent level. So my logic was, well, trade down to 8 or 9, stockpile some picks, and then take an offensive lineman if you want to go that direction. Now, it's apparently there weren't really good offers to trade down. And if you think about it further, to Joe's point, Andrew Thomas is a natural left tackle. And if you look at the mock drafts before the season started, he was actually supposed to go for 4. For whatever reason, even after the season, during the combine, he fell down because some other hot names came up. But if you really think about it, Giants have never been able to get a good left tackle. Now we have a guy who can be our left tackle for the next 12 to 15 years. I mean, that's exciting. Like, you look at Daniel Jones' career, and you're going to have a guy now, his protector, the whole time. And he's probably going to be really good. He's a high talent. So, in the scheme of it, it was actually a very good pick looking back.
Absolutely. I'm thinking honestly the same thing, because all last year throughout the college football season, throughout the the pre-draft rankings and everything like that were going on while the season was actually taking place, Andrew Thomas was heading up the left tackles. It wasn't until the NFL Combine, or as I like to call it, the Underwear Olympics, that you started to get different guys actually showing up, because you're getting all of these different measurables, these different numbers and things like that people are starting to look at, because everybody likes analytics. They like looking at, okay, this guy can do the shuttle in this fast. This guy can do, that he can jump 52 inches in the air and everything like that. I don't need my left tackle jumping 52 inches in the air. I need to make sure that this man can protect my quarterback's blind side. And Andrew Thomas has done nothing but that the entire time he was at Georgia, with bum-ass Jake Fromm as his quarterback. So as far as I'm concerned, the man sat up there. What was it? I think the entire season this past year, he did not give up a single quarterback hit. He gave up a little bit of pressure, but I don't think he gave up a single quarterback hit. That includes sacks as well. And he also went out there on film against Caleb Von Chason and was bored. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm over the moon with this one. I would have liked Simmons just because of the fact that it would have added a dynamic to the defense that we hadn't had in a long time. But the mere fact that you can solidify the offensive line, you can put a guy like that on the left side protecting Daniel Jones. You still have Nate Solder out there to guide this young man as well as our number 3 pick. And then, you're basically setting up the offensive line for the next 10 to 12 years, which might end up becoming the second coming of that 07-08 offensive line that we all loved. So, like I said, I'm over the moon with it. But moving on to the next one, the absolute steal of our draft, our number 2 pick, our second round, Xavier McKinney, the safety out of Alabama. Joe, what are your thoughts?
We got the best safety in the draft in the second round. That's those are my thoughts. Like that's the steal of the draft, in my opinion, one of these steals of the draft. I mean, the guy was slated to be a top 15 to 20 pick. The Cowboys again were looking at him. Everybody and their mother knew the Cowboys probably going to take him until Lamb dropped, and I don't even blame the Cowboys for taking Lamb there. But everybody thought McKinney was going to go there, and even when he dropped to the second round, I was like, oh well, this guy's not going to drop to. Somebody's going to take him before us. And Gettleman even said he had a deal in place if McKinney wasn't there. If McKinney got taken before 36, he was trading back, and I dig it. But then when he said like, listen, you can't pass on the best safety in the draft following you in the second round. So I mean, it's not even. It's similar to the Landon Collins thing, but the only difference is we traded up to get to Landon Collins at that first pick round. We didn't even trade up. We just sat back and watched. So for him to drop to us at 36 and us to take the best safety in the draft from one of the best conferences in college football, if not the best, SEC, Benji. Every time I'm looking to see who else from SEC. I'm gonna say it every time, but I think I mean, and it's great. It's a great dynamic. The kid's a tackler, which is sorely needed on our defense. He's a ball hawk, which is sorely needed because we haven't had a free safety in God knows when. So you pair him up with Jabril Peppers. And, I mean, you have Jake Bradbury, got Baker on one side. I mean, suddenly our secondary is looking pretty good. Him and Peppers are both young, and they're both just going to fly around the field. And I love the dynamic we're going to have on that defense now. And I know they even said you can bring McKinney down to the line, and he's a willing tackler, and he's a great tackler too. So I love the kid. He's an athletic freak, and I can't wait to see what that kid's gonna do. He's ready to go. So.
Steve, what you think about this pick, man?
So I love this pick. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest steals of the whole draft if you actually think about it. If you look at top 5 steals of the draft, it has to be there. I mean, this guy, like Joe said, he's a top 15, top 20 pick of the draft, and he fell to us in the second round. Similar to Landon Collins, obviously the trade wasn't involved here, and I think McKinney has more upside than Landon Collins had, slightly. I mean, if you think about McKinney's overall talent, I mean, this is one of the best defensive players in the draft, and you pair him with Peppers. I mean, that's really exciting. That's two really good young safeties. I mean, a couple of years we could have the 2 best safeties in the league combined, in terms of a tandem, and then you're building up the secondary. I mean, to put it away, getting McKinney, for me, it totally softened the blow of not getting Isaiah Simmons. Because I'm like, actually, this is not so bad. I'm like, we got a left tackle for the next 12 to 15 years, and we just got a star safety. I mean, if you say going in, before anything, we were going to get a bookend left tackle and the best safety in the draft and one of the best secondary players in the draft, we would all be like, hell yeah. I mean, unbelievable. I was floored with it.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking of the possibilities because you have 2 wild cards in our secondary right now. One being McKinney, the other one being Jabril Peppers. These guys can be moved around. These guys can play. Well, granted, Jabril Peppers isn't like your typical over-the-top safety, but neither is McKinney. You also have a guy by the name of what was his name again? Julian Love, who everyone is still expecting big things out of. You can do a number of things with the weapons that we have in the secondary right now, and I'm really intrigued as to exactly how it is that we're going to implement these guys into this new defense. You look at the situation. I believe I don't remember what analyst it was that said it, but one of the advantages to having both of these guys now, being Peppers and McKinney, is the fact that you don't know where these blitzes are going to come from. One thing that has been irritating the life out of me the last couple of years, and be it James Betcher, be it the second part of Steve Spagnuolo, be it, whoever it was that was before him, because I can't remember at the top of my head. Perry Fuel. Our blitzes, for the most part, have been completely telegraphed. They've been stymied, and they just honestly they haven't been effective. I want to get back to seeing the Giants have a feared defense, not one that you're like, all right, we got to prepare for these guys. I want teams to look up there and they see the Giants up there and they're like, oh hell, man, we got to deal with the Big Blue Wrecking Crew again. I want to get back to that, and like I'm starting to see pieces on both sides of the ball being put in place. Next up, we have our third round pick. This is pick 89, offensive tackle. I'm going to butcher his last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Pert or Peart. Matt Pert out of Connecticut. Joe, what you got on this guy?
I love the pick. I loved it. I had us going other ways in my mock draft, and at first I was just like, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, all right, this definitely makes sense, because to me, I had us going receiver in the third round. Was like a big body guy, but seeing as the freaking Raiders want to take 3 receivers out of their first
everybody wanted Michael Pittman. Every single one of us.
That dude went second round, pick 34. I was hot. I was hot about that. I was so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about that. Yeah. I had us going Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. The guy 6'3", he's like 6'3.5", whatever. But of course, the Raiders want to take Ruggs and Lynn Bowden and Brian Edwards. So we sat here and we took Pert, and honestly, like I like it because the kid's another one. I think I sent you the stat. It was like it was between him and Shane Lemieux who we're going to get to, but between the two of them have like over, I think it was like 140 starts, something like that in college football in their career. Like the kid, against another one, I believe since his freshman year, he started like every game at right tackle, I believe, for the UConn. So the kid, you're talking about the durability. You're talking about the kid has long arms. He's on the raw side, but he has great upside. And the thing about it is he doesn't have to start. He's not going to start. But if you have Andrew Thomas on your left side, you're going to have Solder and Fleming probably fighting it out for the right side. You have Pert learning from Fleming and Solder and Mark Colombo, sitting there for the next year or two. Now, you talk about Solder's probably going after this year. More than likely he's going after this year. So that money's off the books. Cam Fleming's on a 1-year deal. So even if you bring back Cam Fleming for another year, if he wins that job, if he does well, then you still have Pert sitting for another year. So now you can see here, you can have this kid sit down and develop. Andrew Thomas is your bookend left tackle. After a year, Fleming and Solder are gone, and now you slide in Matt Pert. Now you have your franchise bookend tackles for the next 12 to 15 years. The guy was learning from Solder. The guy's learning from Fleming. The guy's learning from Mark Colombo. And besides that, he just adds offensive depth to which we don't have. We didn't have offensive line depth after our starting. Oh yeah, we had 4 starters and Nick Gates who everybody's like, oh, he can play center, he can play guard, he can play tackle. He didn't have a defined position at this point. So we literally had 4 offensive linemen and Nick Gates and Spencer Pulley. I could not name you another offensive lineman we had on that team. I think we had like Evan Brown, Chad Slade, or something like that. Like
Jalapio's still on there, but he's injured, so
I'm not counting that guy. He doesn't even need to be on the team anymore. Guys,
I agree.
Like he needs to be gone. Like, I'm sorry, the guy cannot complete a season. He's past. I don't know why we love this guy. Like, look, past 3 years he's been hurt. Everything's like an Achilles tear or a broken leg or something like that. Guy keeps being brought back on 1-year deals, and he keeps like destroying. I don't know why or how what keeps happening, but the guy needs to go. And even when he plays, he's just not good. Like the guy's getting snapping the ball and getting blown up into the quarterback's lap every play, and it's like, oh, give up a sack. What? Like the guy's past the quarterback. Is that good? Like, come on. Like he needs to first off, he shouldn't even have been an option for us. But we need to move on from him. So hopefully, with the picks that we did in this draft, he's an afterthought. Even though I've already heard Gilliman and Joe Judge talk about bringing his asshole back, whatever. But yeah, love the Matt Peart pick. I'm done.
Steve, what you think about him?
So I was very happy with this pick. So when I was reading about him and just seeing it, he is extremely raw. He's durable and he has a very good attitude. And he has all these traits in what you want in an offensive tackle. And if you think about it, all the third party opinions, they all are very high on him, especially at that point in the draft. And what's nice about it is Solder will start for a year, then you cut Solder, hopefully Pert's ready, and now you have your left tackle and your right tackle for the next decade plus, if Pert works out. And he should. There's no reason why he shouldn't. He literally has all the traits, the size, the strength. Like you say, he's a little raw, but what do you expect in the third round? I mean, the third round of a draft, and this was the end of the third round. You're kind of looking for upside. And if we could have walked out of this draft with our two tackles for the next decade, when our offensive line since the Super Bowl teams has really been a revolving carousel, just different people constantly. I mean, that's a game changer in my opinion.
Yeah, beautiful. It was beautiful. As far as I go, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I've been hearing this description for both Pert and Lemieux that they play angry. That's a trait in an offensive lineman that I always want to see. Now, at the risk of sounding completely horrible, Joe, what have I been saying I wanted in an offensive lineman? I said I wanted an angry Samoan, right? Just for the longest time. Because of it had nothing to do with the fact that it was Samoan. It was just the fact that they're usually good offensive linemen and defensive linemen as well. But it's one of those things that I've wanted on this team. I want this team to get an edge back. And by edge, I mean I want this team to have some type of tenacity with them. I want them to go out there and hit people in the mouth all game long, to the point where the team, when it's the third quarter and you're coming up, you're seeing this guy sitting up there and you're starting to see, doubt start to, get into the defensive line's eye, because he's seeing like, this guy is not going to quit. And I'm seeing that from a guy like Matt Peart. So like I said, I'm excited. I'm intrigued. I would very much like to see exactly how Mark Colombo is going to work with this guy, but he has the best possible setup coming in. He's coming in with very little expectation because of the fact he's a third rounder. However, you also have the number one offensive line coach. You have a Super Bowl winning tackle above you in the depth chart being Nate Solder. And then you got a guy who's basically been on, not necessarily starting, but he's been on and worked under, Mark Colombo the entire time. One of the best offensive lines in the NFL. All of these different information banks that you can draw stuff from. And that's something that, as long as his work ethic is there, I think we got ourselves, like I said, both of you guys have actually put out there, our bookends for the next 10 years. Moving on to our fourth round pick number 110, Darnay Holmes, cornerback out of UCLA. Joe, what you think about him?
I love this pick, man. Just, I watched this kid for I think about a year or two, and I think I've sent you this guy's highlight tape. I probably sent you the same highlight tape like 3 times. Like, it was kid stud. Like,
probably have.
This kid is. I love this kid's speed. He's a little small, and he was like measuring like 5'9.5", 5'10".
He's 5'10". Yeah,
but he's gonna play. The kid is the best nickel slot corner in the draft, and multiple people have said this, and I've already known it. And he's played outside at UCLA, but he's gonna play inside for us. Like, but you have again, it's and also his return ability. He has just amazing return ability. For some reason, the kid's swagger reminds me. Don't crucify him for this. Like, don't look at me in that way. But the kid's swagger and the way he his attitude almost reminds me of like a Deion swag. Like, it almost reminds me. It's almost like a prime time like Deion Sanders swag. Like, and I'm telling you again, like bringing that attitude and that swagger back to the defense is what I want. Like, and the kid has some traits, and I love it. Like, And again, it speaks now. I look at our secondary. There's gonna be so much competition. There's gonna be so many battles. It's only gonna push everybody to get better in the secondary, and I love it. You have Bradbury on one side, you got Baker on the other side. They're your outside corners. Now you have Beal, you got Love, Beal, Haley, Valentine. You add Holmes to this. You got another corner we got later in the draft. Like, it's just all competition. All competition. And everybody's gonna have to bring out their best. They're gonna bring out their complete best to show they want to be on this team. But again, for the Giants to wait, I think this was another steal for us. Like, for you to wait to the 4th round and get the best nickel slot dime corner in the entire draft, spoken by multiple analysts and experts, like, that's another steal for us. And again, it just adds to the versatility trait because he has return ability, punt and kick return ability. So, like, that's Joe Judge, man, speaking that versatility. So I love it. It's another great pick for us. So that's what I got.
Steve, what you got on him?
I was very happy with the pick as well. If you looked at his actual skill set for the 4th round, I mean, again, it's the 4th round, so you're not going to get a blue chip player. So you're thinking in the 4th round, your goal is try to get somebody who can be a difference maker, who could fit into your team and work. And as a nickel corner with his talents and his ability level, and to get someone like that in the 4th round, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's an absolute steal. If it was the 1st or 2nd round, I wouldn't be so happy, but in the 4th round, if you read about him, it seemed like to me it was definitely a good logical pick.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that I love players that are very intelligent. This guy right here is probably OD intelligent right now, from what I've seen. Let's go over some stuff real quick. He graduated from UCLA in 2.5 years. He's done. 2.5 years. One of the semesters that he was involved in, he took 31 credits versus the worth of classes. I'm still trying to add up and figure out how. Unless he took all 5 credit classes, I don't understand how he managed to do that, but he did it. He did it. Yeah. And he was able to handle the workload. That right there tells me a couple of things. 1, his intelligence level. 2, he knows how to handle pressure. College ain't no joke, especially when you're dealing with that many classes. The other thing that I'm thinking about with him is the fact that he didn't play in the slot until the Senior Bowl. And the moment he went to the Senior Bowl, he went into the slot. The first thing he did was he said, I love it. He accepted the challenge that he knew he was going to have because he goes in there. He's a little undersized for what they would consider to be an outside corner in the NFL. So he sees the challenge. He sees where he has to go, and he accepts it, and he's already excelled at it. It's absolutely insane. The man's ability to adapt it's crazy. One of the other things that I heard about him coming through, and I think I have to credit Entertainer for this one, was the chess game, where it is that he saw the quarterbacks on the team playing chess. So in order to get into their mind and to basically up his skill set, up his own game, he asked them to teach him how to play. So now he's like the chess champion and things like that, basically, from UCLA and everything like that. It's another one of those things. Chess is the game of war. That's your tactics right there. Chess, if you can figure out your opponent, how your opponent is going to move, it can translate to just about anything. Any type of sport, any type of tactical, advantages and things like that. If you know right off the bat, because of the fact that your mind works in that type of chess-type manner, you know what your opponent is going to do in X amount of situations. That helps out with game film. That helps out with prep. That helps out on the field. And it's just another one of those things. I'm up here, I'm looking at this Joe Judge, these Dave Gettleman picks over the last couple of years, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm fanboying over it, but at the same time, I can't help but do it, considering the fact that what we came from with guys that were drafted solely on athletic prowess, like your Adrian Robinsons and stuff like that. Whereas now you have this complete shift that's going in the opposite direction. And like I said, when I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I'm very, very intrigued right now. I'm loving the idea of all this competition that's going to be in the secondary, and I just can't wait to see where it goes. I told you the other day, Joe, I want my football back. All right, I need it back. Moving on to round 5. Then we got pick number 150. Quite possibly, outside of Andrew Thomas and Xavier McKinney, my most, I want to say, the pick I'm most intrigued by and I'm most ready for, Shane Lemieux out of Oregon. Joe, what you got for him?
I got durability, toughness, and nasty. That's what you're gonna get. I think it was 52 straight starts at left guard, Oregon, and that whole line has like some durability, like they're durable players. When you got him and you got Calvin Throckmorton and you got like Hampton and you have all these people that were playing the offensive line. So that speaks to a lot of versatility from the offensive line. But like him in general, first off, the guy looks like he wears the neck roll like Will Hernandez.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So if that dude is lined up at your center with a neck roll and Hernandez at guard with a neck roll, back up. I'm not playing with neither of them. You wear a neck roll at guard and center, you're trying to hurt people. I don't play with people with neck rolls, man. Mess around. Like if they pull out a washboard, you're really in trouble. Like, like that dude, he has such. Like just watching his highlights and just again, so many Oregon games that were on TV this year. You get a chance to see him. You know, you're not really watching him. You're still seeing the kid and seeing all of the line held and how well they held up and how well they did for Herbert in that offense. It just speaks to volumes of how good how good that line is. I think the kid's going to be a great pick for us. And again, that Joe Judge's versatility, man. Even during the draft process and leading up to the process, the guy already knew he need to make himself more valuable. So rather than just sitting there being the guard, the whole time in the draft process, he was training at center. So even when he got drafted, the first thing they did when we drafted Shane Lemieux, they showed his Instagram videos of him snapping the ball, playing center, and taking his steps, learning his reps, and working with people that are professional at the position. So like to me, I love the pick because you can sit up here and we're gonna get to the undrafted free agents too, but like I have so many ideas for the future of our offensive line going forward and how it could look, and it could be nasty. But like I see this kid, and if nothing else, he's not gonna start because you got Will Hernandez and you got Kevin Zeitler, and Zeitler could be around for another year or two, and Shane Lemieux could slide in the guard or he could slide in the center, but it speaks volumes as to what the kid can do and how versatile he is. But I love the pick. I love the kid. I just watching him play. I like and just seeing that the kid. I like that we're getting a lot of people that are durable. We aren't getting a lot of people. We got some people that have a type of injury history or concern, but like offensive line wise, we're just building durability. Again, you look at Andrew Thomas started like 4 years. You look at Pert started all 4 years. You look at Lemieux started all 4 years. So to build the versatility and build up the durability of your offensive line, that's a winning formula. So I love this pick.
Mm-hmm. Steve, how you looking at this guy?
So again, at first I wasn't happy because I wanted some receivers that were on the board. But if you think about it logically, it's the 5th round. Against what I was saying previously, but later in the draft, you're kind of looking for different things. And here, if you get an offensive lineman who has the ability to play multiple positions, he's durable, he has the potential to be a starting quality player. If not, could always be a rotational offensive lineman who just fills in. And the 5th round, I mean, you're not going to get a star generally. And his logic, if you think about his talents, it makes sense. It fits the team well. And take it a step further, in this draft specifically, I'm noticing the Joe Judge effect. And again, I haven't seen Joe Judge coach a game, so I don't want to get all excited. But Gettleman, look, his drafting has been a lot better than Reese, but he's made some questionable decisions. And you're noticing in this draft, I feel like Joe Judge is having an effect. They're taking players that just make sense. Like if you look through especially the first 4 rounds, I mean, those were unbelievable picks if you really broke it down. And then you look at this pick, it makes sense. It's a 5th round. You have a durable offensive lineman, a guy who can play multiple positions. Maybe he could even start down the road, and it fits well. When have the Giants really had talent on the offensive line? They haven't. They've always, mixed and matched kind of. So who knows? But I think Joe Judge is behind this as well, and that's a bigger thing, which makes me happy.
I like the idea that Joe Judge already saw him basically training as a center and immediately went out there and was, whenever, anybody interviewed him, he came out and he was just like, we're going to be cross-training him. He's going to be working at center. He's going to be working at guard. And once again, intrigue. You look at the potential for what the offensive line could be, let's just say hopefully in a year or two. Andrew Thomas as your left tackle, Will Hernandez as your left guard, Shane Lemieux as your starting center, whoever as your starting right guard, and then Matt Pert as your starting right tackle. All young, all hungry, all angry, except maybe Andrew Thomas. He's not angry, but the rest of them definitely angry. And I'm just thinking of like the possibilities. One of the things that I tend to get into debates with several fans of other teams about is Saquon. Saquon the last 2 years have been running behind a piss poor offensive line, and he's still gotten his yards. What exactly do you think is going to happen when he has no contact the moment that he gets the ball from Daniel Jones now? When he can hit a hole without having to worry about, there's 4 guys on my ankles already, 3 yards into the backfield. I think that we're going to be, we're looking and we're seeing the building in the beginnings of something great. And again, that may be me jumping the gun. That may be me being overly optimistic, but it's just the change in culture that I've seen over the past 2 years has me excited. It has me excited because of the fact that we're looking at, a coach who, albeit doesn't have any head coaching experience, but has all the pedigree. He's saying all the right things. He's saying, and it's not scripted all the right things. I heard the interview with him from a couple of days ago on the Yes Network where Don and Michael Kay were trying to throw every single curveball at him that they possibly could, and he just came out and was just like, all right, whatever, this is what we're going to do. And that is translating to me feeling so much better about the construction of the team right now. And again, that Shane Lemieux being 100% part of that, because I'm looking at him and I'm seeing and hoping for the next Sean O'Hara.
Word.
Round 6. Joe, you were probably about to do your, jump up in the air and click your heels a little bit because we're about to announce round 6 from linebacker university, Cameron Brown, the linebacker from Penn State, as our 6th round pick, number 183.
Wait,
what you got?
What'd you say? What?
Oh, I don't see a pin on there. I see in-state.
You want me to pick up?
You gotta understand what I'm looking at. I'm looking at myself over that part right there. That's where my video screen is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I saw as soon as I was like, when he first drafted him, it took me a second, not because I totally forgot that he was even. I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot he was in the draft. I'm not gonna lie to you, but watching him play is he's he has so much potential, And again, it's a 6th round pick, so I'm not mad at it. I'm not. It's just all there's so much potential and all these people coming in the later rounds of the draft. But watching him play, obviously I'm a Penn State fan, just watching this kid play, it's he can make a great play, or he can make a play that makes you want to drop kick him, and you're just bro, If you could just figure it out and be consistent, you will be an animal. Like you're outside backer, you're 6'5". So people are like, so he's talking about like, people trying to throw over me, and I'm 6'5". So you literally have to throw the ball like 7.5 to 8 feet in the air just to get it over him. Like, you know what I'm saying? So a quarterback sitting here going for a timing route on a slant, and you got this dude Cam Brown sitting here at the outside backer position, dropping back in the coverage, covering that slant route. It throws off your timing of your whole play. You have to throw it over the guy, or he's picking it off. But the kid's another one to me. He's just versatile. The outside backer, he can drop in coverage. He can blitz. He can put his hand in the ground, be a pass rusher. He can cover running backs. He can cover tight ends. Like, the kid to me is just another one. Like, every time I see a pick, I'm going to just, it's versatility, man. Like, every pick in this draft, McKinney, versatile. Darnay, versatile. Like, Lemieux, versatile. Cam Brown, versatile. Like, it's just versatility, and I love it. Like, again, to me, I see, like, he has, like, Leonard Floyd. Like, he's in Leonard Floyd's size. But I don't want him to be a bust like Leonard Floyd. I'm sorry, Leonard Floyd to me is a bust. And even speaking of the Giants, we all wanted the guy. We all wanted him in that draft. But, like, for him, he didn't pan out he didn't pan out with the Bears. But this kid, if these guys can mold this kid and make him a great pass rusher, help him drop back in coverage and cover people, like, the kid's gonna be the equivalent to the matchup nightmare that other team tight ends can possess possibly. Like, again, when you don't have to put like a 5'11" corner on a 6'5" tight end and hope he can block or he can cover him. You can put 6'5" outside backer Cam Brown, who can also run like a 4'6" or 4'7" and hang with these 6'5" tight ends. That takes away your matchup nightmare. Like, if they can mold this kid, we got another gem. Like, it just has to be consistent. He has to, like, something has to click, and he has to be consistent. If he gets that consistency trait in him, oh man, it's gonna add a whole other level to our defense. And you talk about like Isaiah Simmons being 6'4" and his versatility to inside backer. Like, if Cam Brown is 6'5" and he can put together that versatility and that can make himself consistent, he'll be an animal. I just hope he can do it.
Steve, what you think about this guy?
So I did not like the pick at all. Now, to be clear, it had nothing to do with Cam Brown at all. As you know, I wanted the Giants to take a receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan, who, as an Ohio State fan, I follow Michigan somewhat closely. He was sitting there in the 6th round. I mean, he was a 3rd or 4th round talent. I would have taken Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, come on. Like, that could have been a receiver. And if you looked at Peoples-Jones' stats, his issue was he had horrible quarterback play at Michigan. There was no actual red flags on his talent level, on any personality issue. It was strictly the fact that he played in really crappy offense for him. And he's sitting there in the 6th fucking round. Like, come on. Like, what are you doing? You have a chance now. You had a great draft, like I said, 1 through 4. 5 I was okay with. And you had a chance to get potentially a good playmaking wide receiver who can also do kick returns in the 6th round. And you pass up on him for a linebacker who, to Joe's point, he could be good. I mean, he definitely has some upside. But the consistency trait, if you're not consistent, it's very hard to teach. And that's something that does concern me. And it's the 6th round. I'm not expecting a world beater. But the fact that Peoples-Jones was there is I would have taken him. To be honest, if Cam Brown becomes a good special teams player and he becomes a guy who can fill in sometimes on the defense and step in as a backup and can put up some numbers, then the pick in a vacuum is a success. Because, again, it's 6th round. But Donovan Peoples-Jones was there. You had a chance to get a good receiver that late in the draft. Like, what the hell? Like, come on. That just pissed me off.
Dude, to me,
Let me
go in real quick. So my whole thing is, this is my thing. If you're going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones, who are you starting Peoples-Jones over? Where are you playing Peoples-Jones? He's going into your team as the 4th receiver already.
Right, but think about it. Shepard is 1 concussion away from a problem, right? So I'm a huge fan of Shepard. I mean, I think he's awesome. But let's be real. He has a major concussion problem. So can you really rely on him for 16 games? I don't know. And I am not a huge fan of Golden Tate. And take it a step further, I don't see. To me, I don't see a scenario where in a year or two Tate's even on the team. So to me, you put him at the fourth receiver. You can do some spread offenses. Then you have him do some kick returning. He learns from players, and he can start the next year. It's the 6th round. I mean, you're not thinking starting. Cam Brown is not going to start either. I'm sorry. I stand by my line. He is way too talented to be in the 6th round. That would have been amazing.
He's not. But if you're going to put him as your fourth receiver, if you think we're going to draft a receiver in the 6th round, and you're going on the basis that you don't like Golden Tate and you think Shepard's going to get hurt before the season's even started, if you're going to put your 4th receiver to your 1st receiver slot, we're not going to have a good year. If you're going to take a receiver, if you're taking a receiver in the 6th round, and you're honestly, from your logic, hoping that these things happen, you're not going to be a successful franchise. If you're going off of logic, I understand Sterling Shepard's injury history. I understand it, but for the money he's there, he's starting. For Golden Tate's money that he's on the team, he's starting. And we actually have a lot of receiver depth. So for you to take Peoples-Jones and slot him as your 4th receiver does not make sense. Along with the fact that we have other pressing needs. Like
in the 6th round, though, I disagree. In the 6th round, you're not expecting the guy to start, even if it's a receiver. Forget the player, right? You take a receiver in the 6th round, you're actually thinking that they're a special teams player, or they come in on to fill in. Like the way Slayton really succeeded last year, that wasn't expected for where he was picked in the draft. I mean, I'm glad he did well. I mean, Slayton had very similar pre-draft statements to Peoples-Jones. They had questioned Slayton on his route running and on his hands, and we saw that Slayton is actually very good. So the thing with Peoples-Jones as well, it wasn't even his hand being questioned, but it's a 6th round. You're not expecting him to start. I don't want injury to happen. Look, I'm a huge fan of Shepard, and Tate is serviceable. There's no real issue there. But if I get a 4th receiver who in a year or two could start and get him in the 6th round, I don't know. I think it's this really smart pick. And again, the end of the draft, none of the guys being picked at this point, we're expecting them to start. And we're probably not even expecting them to start at any time in their career.
As far as the receiver debate goes, there's a couple of things about that. First is the undrafted free agents that we're going to get to in a little while. And the other thing is, I believe that we went into this draft with 2 targets in mind. And those 2 targets being offensive line and the back 7. Because if you look at it, aside from, what can be considered edge rushers, no one in the defensive line was actually taken. Aside from your offensive linemen that we took, Thomas, Pert, and Lemieux, there were no other offensive players taken either. So as far as from what I'm looking at, I think that they saw the value more so in those 2 position groups in this draft more than anything else. On top of the fact that we're just setting the stage up for the 2021 draft when future Giant Jamar Chase gets drafted, my son. And we put him out there next to Darius Slayton.
From the best conference in football, the SEC.
No.
I mean, that I'll give you. If you think about it, the Giants probably looked at it as next year, 1st round, we'll take a star receiver, put him next to Slayton, and then have Shepard in the slot. And then you have a star receiver at the 1, Slayton at your 2, Shepard in your slot. That's fine. I can live with that. That's very good. But I agree with you. They did look at it from the offensive line and the secondary, and they succeeded there. I think there's no question that we could all be in agreement, right? They totally succeeded there. But who cares what you went into? It's the 6th round. Take a flyer on somebody who has the potential to be really good, as opposed to a guy like Cam Brown. It's not a knock on him, but just my personal take on it. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Cam Brown becomes a star, and then Joe is super happy that his Nittany Lion is a star player.
Look, this is where we're at right now. You are an Ohio State fan bashing my Penn State player for a Michigan player. I am disgusted. Move on to the next pick. It's ridiculous.
I was out at this point in the draft or whatever. My knowledge on these players is incredibly limited, so I'm pretty much just going to defer to you guys for the rest of it.
That's basically same with me. And that's why I know Peoples Jones from playing against Ohio State. I know he's a good player. That's the only reason why I've been after this guy. Because I follow Michigan, their rival, so I just know who he is. I never heard of Cam
Brown. Coming up next, honestly, the funny thing about it is that it actually brings me back to 2009 when we drafted Hakeem Nicks, because the only reason why I knew who Nicks was is because he whooped Florida State's ass. It's just, seventh round, 218, pick 218, Carter Coughlin, linebacker out of Minnesota. I've heard some intriguing things. However, like I said, aside from a PFF grade, I don't know much about him. I think it was 2018. He actually ranked higher than Chase Young as far as your edge rushers. So I don't know what happened in 2019 to make him fall off the way that he did. But Joe, what do you think about this pick?
For this part of the draft, I really like it. You know, again, we're rebuilding our linebacking core, because when you look at it last year, so my whole thing is not even last year, but going into this draft, you had Ryan Conley, who's out still.
He's hurt, yeah.
You got Mayo, and you got what's this other guy's name? Blake
Carter.
Martinez. We have Blake Martinez just signed. Those are inside backers, and that's why we're gonna get to the inside backers in a minute. But those are our three inside backers. The outside backers / edges, I guess you could say, you have Zoe Carter, Golden's gone. So yeah, Zoe Carter, and you could say X-Man. He's like an outside edge, whatever kind of linebacker. But again, it speaks to, and we signed Tyler Fackrell, 1-year deal, see what he can do. But to me, it just speaks to that we're rebuilding again our linebacker core. We rebuilt the entire linebacker core. And again, Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin to me are outside backers / edge players. Carter Coughlin's a sack artist because he can set the edge, he can play the run, and he has good production. I believe he got hurt. I think that's what happened. I don't remember unless I'm mixing up with somebody else, but I can look that up in a minute. I'll get back to you on it, and I'll verify that. But again, the kid's a sack artist. He can get to the quarterback, and he's a little, undersized. But for a 7th round, and you're trying to build pass rush, you're trying to build some type of production, and you're trying to take a flyer on somebody, that to me is it's a solid pick. Again, you're trying to rebuild the linebacking unit, which they succeeded in doing in this draft. You're trying to build up your edge presence and everything. So, to me, it was a solid pick. And again, Minnesota was a good team this year. They haven't been like a really good team in a while. I mean, they've always been kind of like middle of the road. But now you brought in PJ Fleck, and he's changed that whole dynamic of that system. Love that coach, by the way. But I think with the new system, I think he's going to probably come in and he's going to end up being a special teams player, which is what Joe Judge is going to, thrive with him. He'll be probably a solid special teams player. He'll come in. And, I mean, I'm not looking for the guy to come in and start and have, 12.5 sacks a year like Jared Allen. But I think in a rotational defense where you have a lot of young pieces now, we really don't have a veteran edge rusher. Not that I know off the top of my head. The oldest ones might be Tyler Fackrell or Leonard Williams or something like that. It might be like our oldest guy on the edge. So for that guy to come in, and I think he can probably have some type of production, but I think he'll definitely be a special teams player year one and see where he goes from there. But I like it. 7th round flyer on a sack artist. Why not?
All right. Steve, you're a Big Ten guy. You got any fan experience with this guy?
So not particularly. I was fine with the pick. It's a seventh round flyer. He's a solid player. I think worst case scenario, he'll be able to make some plays for special teams. Looking at it worst case, again, he'll be able to sub in certain plays, get some tackles here and there. And if it works out, great. But again, it's 7th round. I mean, if he plays for them for 4 years and is somewhat productive, that's a win. If you're looking at just the upside of it. I was at the time he was picked. I was still heated from round 6, so I don't think I was really. I had no real opinion on Carter Coughlin because I was just pissed off at the time. But yeah, I think it's fine. I had no real problem.
Copy that. Next one up, pick 238 out of the 7th round is T.J. Brunson, the inside linebacker from South Carolina. I know even less about him. Joe, what do you think?
And again, that's what I alluded to with, what I alluded to before with the Carter Coughlin pick. We were building our whole linebacking unit. So to me, it's another solid pick. Kid, from what I read and what I've heard about him from many people and many sources, and I actually was looking on like, I'm not a creeper. I'm not a creeper at all. But like I was looking at like some South Carolina like players and coaches like Twitters and stuff, and a lot of people love the kid. A lot of people said that he's like, I believe he was either a captain or like he was an assistant or something like. But like people love this kid. South Carolina loves him. His teammates love him. Everybody says he's a great pick and he's an underrated player. A lot of people are also saying he's the only thing about him is that he's kind of limited in what he could do, and he's like the one pick I saw that's not like not like a Joe Judge versatility pick. And it's like he's not like he's an inside backer. Yeah, he's gonna probably potentially just be like a special teamer, strictly probably for maybe his career, unless he gets into the right system, which might not be ours honestly, because if we're going to be scheme versatile and we're going to change up week to week depending on the matchup, he might not be able to be that linebacker that sees a lot of snaps one week because he's not going to, be able to cover a running back or a tight end or something. I watched a couple highlights of him and everything, and I saw some tape, some film, and for what everybody's saying, he has limited range. He's not. So he's a little undersized for an inside backer, and his range is just limited. He's not like a sideline backer, but he said he's pretty solid. He's a good tackler. He's the leader. He's a captain. So, I mean, if anything, I like getting people that are captains on their team. It speaks to leadership traits. That's always a good thing. And I think that he's going to be a special teams player, honestly, for us. If he makes a team, and again, I think a lot of guys have a shot because, I mean, one, you got drafted, so it speaks to something that we liked about you. And then, again, with the whole rebuilding of the linebacker group, he's going to sit, and you're going to have Mayo and probably Martinez starting off the bat, depending on the matchup or whatever, until Conley's back. I don't know what's going to happen with Mayo after Conley's back. Maybe they want to take it slow with Conley. I don't know. But it's a whole new regime as far as the defensive coordinator and everything. But I think Brunson's going to sit, be a special teamer, and try to learn. And if he gets a chance, see what he does. Honestly, I want preseason to be like tomorrow. But then again, I don't. Still under COVID, so we wouldn't be able to cap preseason. But yeah, I want to see preseason. Like,
Steve, what you got, man?
I mean, I really had no real opinion of it. I mean, it's 50-50 if he even makes the team. To Joe's point, the fact that he's a captain, this point in the draft, if you can get a guy who could be a leader, play some special teams, there's some value in that. And I get, his teammates and fans said he was very good. But how many South Carolina players were even drafted? 5? I mean, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but the point I'm making is there's about, 50-something players on a team. Very few players on a college football team are actually drafted. If you just think about it from percentages, right? So, yeah, he was good there. That doesn't mean he's going to translate into a good football player. And he may not. He may never really play a game in the NFL. We don't know. But you're talking 17 picks away from the last pick of the draft. I mean, what do you expect? There's nobody there on the board who you can say, oh, I know this guy is going to be a superstar. I mean, there's no steals left on the board like the receiver from Michigan. There's really nothing there. So to be honest, you take who you think is going to be productive, and that's really it.
I completely agree.
Before we go on, just to I guess give you like a little insight to him. So he won just awards that he's won in his time in South Carolina. He's won Tenacity Award, Strength and Conditioning Award, Unselfish Teammate, Most Productive, Leadership Award, Nutrition Award, Most Valuable Player Award for the defense, Team Captain, Leadership Award again, and Team Captain again. So to me, it just it speaks volumes as to what kind of person he is, and I think that's more the reason we took him, to see potential as far as on the field. But I think he just has great leadership and captain traits. I think that's probably why we took him. But just to give you a little insight.
That makes sense. And at that point in the draft, if he could be a leader on special teams, if that's what he becomes, best case scenario, then that's a huge win. Because again, pick number 238. I mean, if you think about it like that, right? It's not bad at all.
Nope.
All right, so just to round it out, since like I said, we're probably pretty much going to be saying the same things about the last two people. We have pick 47, Chris Williamson is a cornerback from Minnesota, and pick 255, the aptly named Mr. Irrelevant, Tay Crowder, a linebacker out of Georgia. You guys got any thoughts on these two?
Uh,
Got anything, Chris?
yeah, but if you want to go first with your thoughts. So,
Oh, yeah. I don't know too much. Safety Chris Williamson from Minnesota. He didn't play. He didn't start too many games from what I read. But again, Joe Judge came out during this whole process, and Joe Judge actually came out after we drafted him and said that he's going to be cross-trained across the secondary. So, kid's got good size. He's got a good size, and they were saying that he's going to be trained at corner and receiver. No, receiver, not receiver. Corner and safety.
Corner and safety. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were saying that he's going to be cross-trained at corner and safety. They said he played like a hybrid of both at Minnesota. So they're saying, yeah, he'll probably be cross-trained. Another one, special teams player, and they said he'll be corner and safety. And Tay Crowder. So actually, the interesting thing about Tay Crowder, they said that a lot of people were interested in him, and it was not to draft him, but he was actually one of the highest priority free agents that we had. For us, but a lot of people were actually interested in him as a priority free agent. So the Giants actually cost him a lot of money. I think they cost him like $50,000 to $75,000 because a lot of teams were interested, and they had actually he said he had, I think, about 12, 13 offers or more lined up for both teams. He went undrafted to come play for them. So, I actually watched the kid's highlights too. Starting inside backer at Georgia in the best conference in college football, the SEC, is it certainly speaks to the type of player you are, Like, even I think you have some type of athletic potential and ability to be able to do something if you're starting inside backer at Georgia. I believe I read that he came in. I think he came in at a different position, but yeah, I think he'll be a special teams guy again. He's gonna be probably like the fifth or sixth inside backer that we have, and again, it just speaks to building, like you said before, building the back seven. We built the linebacker group, building the offensive line group, and just providing depth. I don't know if they're going to cross-train him as an inside-outside backer on what they're going to do, but yeah, that's an interesting pick to me. Like, again, there were other people that I saw on the board at that pick, but when I saw him take it, and I saw a lot of people like tweeting and actually a lot of information buzzing about him, I was actually intrigued. So I went and watched his tape, and his tape's not bad. Like, he's a little raw, and I think unless I'm mixing him up with somebody else, I think they said that he came into Georgia as like a running back or something like that, or he tried to be a running back and they switched to an outside backer or something like that. Yeah, unless I'm mixing him up with somebody else. But they were saying something as far as him just having, he can read plays, he has range. So I like the pick, and I'm just another one. Like you've been saying the whole time, intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what he can do if he sticks. So.
So I initially didn't like the Crowder pick, and there was a reason for it though. The guy from Ohio State, Benjamin Victor. I saw him on the board. He was rated higher than him, and he's not amazing, but he has some upside, Benjamin Victor, that I thought of. So I kind of just wanted the Giants to scoop him up. Again, Ohio State fan, I could have been a little biased, and I was annoyed about the Crowder pick because I was like, again, a fourth linebacker, not a receiver. Come on. But then I found out that they signed Victor immediately after the draft. So once that happened, I was like, all right, well, now the Crowder pick's not so bad because if you think about it, at the end of the draft, they loaded up on linebackers. So all you need is one of those to start. If one of those works out and one of them becomes a starter, then that worked. And it could even be a point where they all have to be cut. Like, say every single one gets cut, and the linebacker from Minnesota, not Chris Williamson, Carter Coughlin. Carter Coughlin becomes a starter, and every other one is cut. But if Coughlin starts for 8-9 years, then you actually succeeded in a sense. So it made sense to take flyers on a whole bunch of linebackers and see what happens, I guess. But I don't know. Again, last pick of the draft. There's really no opinion.
Yeah, copy that. Copy that. Honestly, at this point, when it comes to like towards the end of the draft, I really think people are just they're looking for special teams pieces and then hoping for a Jesse Armstead to fall into them. And just like that, we'll be looking at the undrafted free agents and hoping that one of these undrafted free agents, specifically the receivers, turns into another Victor Cruz. So, Joe, you have the list for that. Let's take a look at those and see how they work out.
All right. So for the Giants, we signed Benjamin Victor, receiver from Ohio State. He's 6'4", tall, long, athletic guy. He's raw, and he needs to get in the weight room like yesterday. But the kid has hands. He has solid speed, not like blazing speed, but again, he's 6'4", solid speed, and I think he has a good chance to make the team. We also signed Austin Mack, receiver from Ohio State. A little slower. He's about 6'2", and his big thing is route running. His route running is crisp and clean. Like I watched a lot of. I mean, again, being a Penn State fan and been watching the Big Ten and everything, you see Ohio State play and everything. And the one thing, either every play was either Victor, Mack, or Olave, who's coming out next year, possibly. But just hearing those two guys' names back to back, like every play, Justin Fields making great plays. These two, like it, I think it's gonna. I think those two guys more than anybody else on the undrafted free agents roster list has a chance to stick and make the team. Besides them, we signed an outside edge, Dana Levine. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Either way, from Temple. I don't know too much on him. I watched a little bit of Temple. I saw like a bowl game. Again, just another guy to take a flyer on. We signed Nico Lalos. I'm actually very intrigued by this dude. This guy's an edge. He actually had offers from, I believe it was Texas. I think it was Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame and Ohio State or something like that wanted him as offered him like a priority walk on. And I think somebody else offered him like a scholarship, but he ended up going to like Dartmouth. But like the kid went to Dartmouth and dominated. Like if you watch this guy's highlights, like every play the guy's living in the backfield. So like I think that kid has he has a sneaky chance of being something. Like again, like I want preseason to be here like so bad because I want to see these people on the field. I mean, obviously it's cool because they have more time to train and just like get better and get stronger and everything. But like Benjamin Victor, if this guy can come in like another like 10 pounds of like added muscle and get in the gym and get muscular, like I would love that. But Steve, did you look over the list by any chance of undrafteds or?
I looked at it quickly. I mean, the one that I want to talk about is Benjamin Victor because I was starting to hope for him as one of our 7th round picks. And I think Mac is okay, but I think Victor has way more upside because if you look at Victor, he's 6'4" and he's not slow. Now, is he going to burn you? No, but he has very, very good speed for his size. He has good hands. I was reading online. There's some comparisons to Chris Carter and Michael Thomas. Again, I'm not trying to compare him to that, but there was some serious upside. And the Ohio State offense was built around Dobbins. I mean, generally speaking, Ohio State, they try to build around their running backs or their quarterbacks, but in different style of setup. And Victor, I mean, he has the traits. He puts on 10, 15 pounds. He's 6'4", good hands. He's quick. He came from a good program. An excellent – Ohio State has a very good track record and program. It could be a steal. I mean, I think Victor, if not mistaken, wasn't he supposed to go in like the 5th round?
Yeah, he had a 5th round grade on him.
Right, he really dropped. And I think with the receivers, because there's so many receivers in the draft, it's kind of why Peoples-Jones fell to the 6th round. He would have been a third or 4th round pick, Peoples-Jones, in most drafts. It's because there were so many damn receivers that really good, like a Michael Pittman in a normal draft would have been a top 20 pick probably top 2nd, top 3rd receiver, and the guy fell to the 2nd round. I mean, it's just because of how stacked it was. So I'm hoping that Benjamin Victor becomes a steal. From my perspective, if I look at this draft, the first 4 rounds and Benjamin Victor, forget the rest of the draft, and use those 4 and Victor, and if they become key parts of this team, for the next decade plus, then it was a resounding success. And Victor, I really hope he works out. Not just being an Ohio State fan, but that'd be pretty awesome if he works out.
Definitely.
I have to watch too many Ohio State players go against my team. Ezekiel Elliott, Haskins. I don't know if he's going to be good, but again, I hate the fact that he's in my division.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice to actually watch someone on the Giants.
People are actually,
Joe, isn't there another like a 6'7" receiver or something that we picked up?
yeah, we picked up this guy Ryzen John from Simon Fraser University in Canada. 6'7", 227, plays a receiver / tight end. He has himself listed as a tight end on his Twitter account. But listen, there's some intrigue there, man. Like, I went as soon as I saw we signed this guy, I went and hopped on YouTube, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I hopped on YouTube, and I just like started watching highlights. I mean, yeah, he's raw, and I mean, it's E2 college in Canada, but I mean, he's 6'7". Like, like get that kid in the weight room and throw a jump ball to the kid. Like, shoot. I mean, if nothing else, like, you think kid like what's Evan Ingram? What's Evan Ingram? 240?
6'4", 6'5", 240.
I think he's like 6'4", 240. Put 10, 15 pounds of muscle on this kid. 6'7", 245, tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it. Like, I probably a willing block. I don't know if he can block, but like for the kid to be like just off of 6'7", like just being 6'7", put the kid in the gym, work on his route running and everything, and help him potentially block. But I mean, your bread and butter is that you're 6'7", or somebody can. Daniel Jones can, and one thing we do, Daniel Jones is accurate. So if Daniel Jones can throw an accurate jump ball to a 6'7" kid, we found something crazy there.
To a degree. I mean, he kind of reminds me of Ramses Barden. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Oh God.
Jerry Reese just picked him because he was tall, but he had absolutely only thing was Barden was a 3rd round pick. That's why it was terrible.
Well, all right.
For this guy,
Barden was selected because he was 6'6", and he was a D2 talent playing in D3.
Right, but he wasn't good. He was basically selected because he was tall.
He was
not a good
killing like inferior talent, and it made him look better than he was. That's what happened.
Well, I know, but at least with the guy from Canada, it's an undrafted free agent. You didn't actually risk anything. So if it works out, great. Most likely will it work out? No, but it's not a 3rd round pick. Jerry Reese's terrible drafting.
True.
It also speaks to. I mean, also the other factor is that the NFL's changed so dramatically since the time of Ramses Barden, the time of this kid Ryzen John. So, it was more. To me, it was more. Your number 1 receiver is 6'5", and your number 2 receiver is 6'2", and your little small slot. And now offenses in the NFL in general has changed so much that like you could have a 6'7" guy be 240 and run like a 4.6 40. And I mean, if that's his bread and butter, just throwing jump balls and getting touchdowns, then I don't care. I'll take it. If the kid only comes in the red zone and you give me 11 touchdowns if you catch fade routes at 6'7", I don't care. I'll take it. Like, the offense, the NFL's changed so much. I mean, again, I'm not saying the kid's going to start. I'm not saying he's going to make a team, but it's always intrigue when you see a kid that's 6'7", like coming in the NFL and having hands and having decent route running and just having ball untapped potential at 6'7" for an undrafted free agent. I'll definitely take it.
Definitely. And you know what I kind of hope, and again, going back to Benjamin Victor, I hope for him being around someone like Darius Slayton helps, because Darius Slayton was a 5th round pick. And like I said, if you actually read his pre-draft, the reasons why he fell to the 5th round, the reason why he was getting so many knocks on him, it was all bullshit, really. He didn't have any red flags. I mean, he was fast. He had good hands. He maybe dropped a few passes here and there, and they said his route run. I mean, it was so stupid. And he fell a few rounds because of it. So for Victor, just to get himself focused, he fell probably because of stupid reasons as well. I mean, he should not have been undrafted. So hopefully he comes in with a chip on his shoulder. And that's kind of what you need. I mean, Victor Cruz had a chip on his shoulder when you think about it as well. I mean, he was pretty successful at UMass. He had a chip on his shoulder, and that sometimes helps you. I mean, Tom Brady is a great example, 6th round, chip on the shoulder. But the point being is that you can find talents. And of all the undrafted free agents, like I said, if one of them becomes a productive long-term member of the team, then you succeeded.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
I mean, to round out the rest of the free agents, so there's two that I want to hit on, but just to go to the rest of them, there's Derek Dillon. Derek Dillon was a senior receiver from LSU. I mean, he's mostly known because he had a game-saving, a 71-yard touchdown against Auburn in 2018. But he's a receiver from LSU. He ran a 4.29 40, so I guess we're just seeing if they can work with him and they can use that speed.
Yeah.
See if they can work with him, see if they can use his speed. You know, his 4.29 40. Chase Kukas is a quarterback. I believe it's from Northern Arizona. If I read that right, I believe. I mean, again, he's a camp body to me. Honestly, he has some decent potential. I watched some of his highlights. Looks all right. He can move. He's not like amazingly mobile, but he can extend plays with his legs. He has a solid arm, not a big arm. But again, with the Giants quarterback situation, you have Daniel Jones. They brought in Colt McCoy. You have Alex Tanney, who I hope gets cut. And
I don't want to hear the name Alex Tanney.
Yeah, and then you got Cooper. So I mean, he's coming in as quarterback 4. If we don't even have another one, I don't think we have another one right now. But to me, he's coming in at quarterback 4. I don't see him really making it. We have Tyler Haycroft. He's a tackle from Louisville. Haycroft's interesting. I actually watched some of his highlights today because I've been meaning to, and I've just been putting it off. I just watched like other people and stuff, checking out other teams undrafted, seeing. This is how bad I am. I'm looking at the other teams undrafted free and seeing if they get cut. If we pick one of them up, that's terrible. But I was looking at him, and he played opposite of Mekhi Becton, and he played right tackle for Louisville. But another one, he's actually practicing versatility because he's a little undersized. He was 6'3". He was 6'3", 295 as like a right tackle at Louisville. So during the pre-draft process, he actually was working at guard and center. So for his pro day, he did a virtual pro day. You can actually go on YouTube and watch it. He was doing his kick setting and everything as a tackle, but he was also working under center and snapping the ball and taking his steps, taking his down steps and his J steps, and all his reach steps, and all that stuff as a guard and a center. So he's working on versatility and make himself more valuable. So I mean, that to me that's cool. Yeah, this kid actually, his name is Christian Angulo. He's a corner from Hampton. His nickname is Strat, and he actually is pretty solid size. I think he's 6'2". Yeah. I think he's 6'2", 195. So he has pretty solid size for a corner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could probably play like a corner safety role, but I mean, that kid, like, he has some swagger to his game. I like what I saw, and the main clip you guys should go watch is him. He actually was up against Gandy Golden, who I was very upset. I think the Redskins picked. I was very pissed at that. But he went up against Gandy Golden in a game, and he actually like lived up to his nickname. Like it was pretty good. It's pretty interesting. So that's a guy you guys should go like check out some video on him. Dominique Ross is a linebacker from UNC. To me, it just screams like another TJ Brunson. To me, I see him just he's a leader. He's a leader on that defense. He's pretty solid. Malcolm Elmore, he's a corner from Central Methodist, CMU. I think it's Central Methodist University. But I couldn't find too much on him, honestly. I have to do more on him and look at him more. See if I can find anything. I haven't seen really many highlights on him. Jaquarius Landrews, a safety from Mississippi State. Actually, that kid had some draft stock, and I think a lot of people are actually kind of surprised that he didn't get drafted. But he was, I think, it was second on the team in tackles this past season or the past 2 years. I think it was 2018. I think he led the team. I think 2019 he was second on the team, something like that. So people actually are pretty big on Jaquarius Landrews. And that's funny because we drafted Mark McCoran last year. Or not drafted. We signed Mark McCoran last year as who's like an undrafted free agent, also from Mississippi State. So we actually got some teammates on the team right now. And I know we actually were pretty big on Mark McCoran before he got hurt. And he was kind of like a Deion Buchanan safety linebacker kind of hybrid role. So somebody to look out for. Then there's tight end Kyle Marquay from South Carolina. He's actually a pretty solid kid, but I think it's an uphill battle because the Giants have like 7 tight ends on the roster.
25 tight ends.
Yeah, like the Bears, 12 tight ends.
And he's going to tight end on the first round pick too.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least we didn't take Cole Kmet first round or second round. But this kid actually is pretty solid. He's a well-rounded kid. He has he's a good blocker. He has good hands. He can route run. He has some solid speed. And I mean, put in a better offense with a better quarterback, he actually probably would have produced a lot better than he actually did. But he's an interesting name to watch out for. I'm just looking at it, the tight end, and I'm thinking of the tight end depth. And I know off the top of my head, I know we released C.J. Conrad again, but I know we just signed Eric. I know we signed Eric Tomlinson. I know we have Levine Toilolo. I know we extended Evan Ingram, or we picked up his option, and we have Caden Smith still, so that's already 4 tight ends. And we have Garrett Dickerson, so that's already 5 tight ends. So I don't know what the future holds for Kyle Marquay, but
probably just practice squad. Best case
Body.
scenario.
He's camp fodder. That's pretty much all he is.
Really it. That's really it.
What's the what the heck was his name? The one the tight end with the confusing last name that we just signed.
Toilolo?
Yeah, him, that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's going in as tight end number 3 right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Our tight end room is way too stacked for anybody to be making the team outside of like freak injuries that I really don't want to even think about. There's really no room for anybody to be trying to come off the street and be anything more than a camp body.
Yeah,
probably definitely.
Yeah, you got Caden Smith, you got Evan Ingram, you got Toilolo. We just signed Eric Tomlinson. And you got Garrett Dickerson, so you got 5 tight ends. So the main 2 people that I was out past Victor and Mac and Wallace, the other 2 people that I really wanted to hit on were Javon Leake, the running back from Maryland, and Kyle Murphy, the offensive lineman from University of Rhode Island. And I think Javon Leake has a great shot at making this team because our running back room sucks. Like, yes, you have Saquon from that's cool. You have Saquon from there.
From the New York Giants, right?
Well, I think Wayne Gallman's going to be cut from what I was reading. He most likely is going to be.
That's why I think our running back is. You have Saquon, you have Deion Lewis, you're on a 1-year deal. After that, you don't have anybody. Like, Wayne Gallman sucks. I'm sorry.
No, he does. He's not good.
Like, I've been saying, Benji, I don't know how many times I've been saying this. Like, this guy sucks, and I hate it when we drafted him because I didn't think he was that good. You're just playing on a stacked team in Clemson.
And Paul Perkins before him sucked also.
Perkins actually was kind of decent, but like, I mean, I liked Paul Perkins out of college. I liked him in UCLA, but like, that's another one. He couldn't stay healthy either. He got hurt a lot. But Javon Leake to me has a chance to make the team because again, I think Gallman's gonna get cut. The only other guy we have is John Hillman. He sucks too, so he needs to go too. I think Javon Lee's going to make the team because he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on his body because he shared a lot of the carries with Anthony McFarland. And the kid, again, he averaged 7.9 yards a carry. And then on top of that, again, another return guy. So he's just more versatility in that guy. So I see from between the tackles, and he can catch the ball at the back. So to me, I see versatility in that kid. I think he has a chance to make outside. He has an outside shot to be our running back 3. But
I mean, I definitely wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen him play, right? Because he's in the Big Ten. I'm pretty sure you've seen him.
So I've seen him a few times. I mean, I don't watch super much college football. I try to watch Ohio State when I can, but I'm not like. And also, I'm not looking at all the other players of the other teams as well. Peoples Jones just kind of stood out because he's a receiver and his name's pretty cool. So, and he's a good player, but most of them don't really stand out unless they're standout players.
Right. And then the last guy I wanted to talk about was Kyle Marquette. Not Kyle Marquette. It was Kyle Murphy, the lineman from University of Rhode Island. Yo, Steve Bidget, I sent you his tape. This kid is nasty. Like he's like I don't want him to be like Steve. If you go to university, go to YouTube and look up Kyle Murphy, University of Rhode Island highlight. Get a chance. Like this kid has a mean streak. Like I mean, like I don't. Again, I don't want to compare him to Richie Incognito because I don't want it to be like I don't want him to be like
Yeah, you don't want
Incognito.
that sticking with it.
yeah, but he's the dude. He's like he's nasty. He's like Will Hernandez. He's like we all seen Hernandez after the play be sitting here looking at people or taking like a hit or cheap shotting people and be like, all right, Will, you gotta chill. Like now, when you think about the potential, now, and again, Kyle Murphy has played every offensive line position. He's played center, he's played guard, he's played left and right tackle. So when you think about potential, if this kid makes the team and he has a chance to work with Colombo and work with everybody and sit here in a year or two, and you're sitting here talking about your offensive line could possibly be Andrew Thomas at your left tackle, Will Hernandez at your left guard, Kyle Murphy at your center, Shane Lemieux at your right guard, and Matt Peart at your right tackle, and they're all like 23, 24 years old coming into their second year in the NFL, that O-line is going to be disgusting. And they're going to get probably the most flags after the NFL. Because those three interior dudes, like, yo, Peart and Andrew Thomas are like, cool. Like, yo, I'm blocking you. Plays over. Cool. Whatever. Next play. The other three are going to be just getting unnecessary roughness fouls, late hits. It's going to be bad. It's like they're playing NFL blitz. They're going to be killing people on the You got both your when you roll up, you're that D tackle, and your center sitting there, and you have your two guards on either side of you, both wearing neck rolls. Nah, coach, switch me, put me somewhere else, put me on the edge, put me against Matt Peart, do something else. Like I can't do that. Like it's not happening. I'm telling you, this kid again. I think he's 6'3". I think he's a little undersized, but again, you can put weight on, and I mean, the kid just has a mean streak. Like it's one of those things like when you see like in a movie or something like that, and the lineman is blocking the D lineman downfield, and then the whistle blows, and the offensive lineman is still running the D lineman down off the field into the end zone, out of the stadium, into the parking lot, onto the highway. Like it's one of those. He's one of those kids. Like, and then he'll like he makes sure he finishes a block, and then when he finishes the block, he try to get back up, he pushes you back down, and then he stands over while the play goes. Like I think he has like four highlights in that highlight tape of him finishing a kid and standing over him while the play's going. Like the line, like running back's like running down the field, and he's standing over the edge or the D tackle, and they're standing trying to get up, and he's just shoving them back down, standing over them like you're not like he literally has like 4 plays like that to the point.
What the coaches say? They say play through the whistle, right?
Yo, that's it. Like the kid's a finisher, man. I like watching I watched his highlight tape like twice already now because the kid's just nasty. The kid's just nasty. Like I watched his 18 and his 19 tape, and I was just like, yo, I'm so happy to pick this kid up. I'm so happy. Me and Jaquan were watching him in the combine. We both were like, yo, this kid's got some potential. Like Rhode Island's putting out some players. And when I watched his highlight tape, I'm like, yo, this kid's a mauler, yo. And that's what I'm saying. You're not gonna get a angry Hawaiian Benji or Angry Samoan. you might get some. You might get some. Oh man, I'm telling you, watch this kid. Just watch. This kid makes a team. Him, Lemieux, and Hernandez. Oh my god, that interior is gonna be. Especially Lemieux. The guy's a hockey player, man. The guy's got a hockey name. You know he wants to hit people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody said when we were coming through the draft, like him, he reminded them of Will Hernandez because he was always looking for someone to hit.
Yes.
And that's honestly, I love that. I love that. Do not play complacent. I cannot stand complacent football players. All right. But anyway, that was the 2020 New York Giants draft picks as well as our undrafted free agents. You guys have any final thoughts or anything?
I got nothing. I've been holding that in for like a week and a half. I finally ran about it. So I'm happy. I'm good.
I mean, for me, either I wouldn't say anything. I might give them between a B+ and A-, probably A- realistically. With almost an A, but I give it an A-, and it was pretty good overall, though.
Yeah, like I said, my key word for this entire draft, this entire undrafted free agents, I want to say spree. that we went on right after the draft. My key word is intrigue. I'm honestly intrigued by just about everybody, just because of the fact that we're entering so much new when it comes to the New York Giants. This is the first year that we have been without Eli Manning since 2004. This is a brand new head coach who's surrounded by either former head coaches or people he's been associated with. So, and you basically have, for all intents and purposes, your general manager, quote unquote, on the hot seat. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing something completely different from the last time we were in this situation. You didn't have the spending spree in free agency like we did with Jerry Reese, got by the skin of his teeth after the 2015 season when he goes out there and spends $100 million on 3 people. You don't have the luxury picks. So you don't have the situation where guys are getting drafted just based on, okay, well, this guy, he might look good in a Giants uniform versus, I think this guy can really help my team. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to these guys getting back onto the field. I'm hearing so much positivity and so much good about this draft class, regardless of what people like Stephen A. Smith and the rest of these ESPN talking heads and all the rest of these guys want to do. I don't care. I want to see what's on the field. And from what I've seen from these guys when they were on the field is they are going to come in here. They're going to be ready to ball out. And we are looking at a turnaround right now that we've been waiting for years. But anyway, after that long-winded closing segment, I'm fighting sleep because I've been up since 3-something this morning. So we're going to wrap this up. We're going to pass this over to Paul. It should be posted within a little while, if not tomorrow. But we'd like to thank you guys. Shout out to the Giants Nation. Shout out to Sportsmark Analysts, as well as all of our, podcasts that we have on the side. Jawbreakers, the Nosebleed Section. What's that wrestling podcast? I can't remember what the name. I think the 4 Count or something. Yeah, the 3 douchebags.
I agree.
Court Kings and the starting 11, all you guys, like I said, shout out to everybody and shout out to Sportsmark Nation. You guys have yourselves a great day. Take care. Stay well. Stay inside. Y'all have a good one.